Today we are going to talk about 14 key hacks that you can use to push your serviceability by an extra $15,000. Now this is Must-For Investor Partner Group. For those who don't know me, I help create sustainable property portfolios without impacting or sacrificing lifestyle. We do in-depth property strategies, tax SMSF advisory, business advisory. We also do property development. We do buyer's agency or evidence-based data-driven buyer's agency. Come check us out on our Facebook group, Facebook page. We have our YouTube, we have our own podcast called Help Me Buy Property Podcast, so do check that out. But today this is more of an informal video where we are going to talk about 14 key hacks about how to improve your or increase your borrowing capacity. Okay, and so number first is of course the easiest one, which is increasing your salary. Okay, and so if you increase your salary between $7,500 to $8,000, you can increase your borrowing capacity by at least $50,000. Okay, the second key thing is closing credit cards, and so a lot of people these days have these accounts with Afterpay, Latitude Pay, etc. All of these things that they don't even know of. And so predominantly credit cards, but any line of credit that you have, if you close it, and if that's extra, if it's up to $10,000, then you can improve your serviceability by at least $50,000. Number three, which is quite important, is cut your expenses. Okay, any discretionary expenses, be it eating out, insurance, etc., where you can cut off these expenses. If you can cut them by at least, I would say, $80 per week, then you should be able to increase your serviceability by an extra $50 per week. The fourth one is quite an interesting one, and a lot of people don't think about this, that any loans that you have which are interest only, if you go principal and interest, it's actually helping you improve your borrowing capacity. And so if you can change your loans to principal and interest, then you would potentially be looking at creating more borrowing capacity for yourself. Number five, which is quite important and a lot of people don't know about this, is more in relation to the lenders or the access to lenders that you have. A lot of people go with major banks, but if you go to mid-tier banks like Resimac, First Mac, Granite, etc., you could potentially tap into more borrowing capacity because they are able to write loans at a much lower rate, or they assess you at a much lower rate. Number six, which is quite the key, is other debts. So you have talked about credit cards, but people have student loans, car loans, etc. If you can close some of these loans, you should be able to improve your borrowing capacity as well. The first six key hacks, if you talk now from 7 to 14, if you're talking about investment properties, if you can get depreciation schedules on your investment properties, you can definitely push borrowing capacity up by up to $50,000 on each depreciation schedule. Usually you would get between $8,000 to $10,000 of depreciation every year from every property, if it's not a really old property. Again, speak to your advisor to get a better sense about how to get depreciation schedules and how to use that to your tax advantage as well. Okay. Number eight, which is quite important, and I talk about this a lot, is pushing the yields on your existing properties. And so if you have an investment property which is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, for example, you can convert it into a co-living space, or you can split it up in such a way that you have a single isolated 1-bedroom self-contained unit that you can rent out, and you can basically rent out the 4-bedroom or the 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom on the side separately to push the yields up to say 8.5% to 9% as well. Number nine is more in relation to, again, investment properties. And so you can acquire an investment property which is say over 8% yields, which is quite common these days as well. You can go for a growth suburb in a nice location, giving you 8% rental yield, and if you add that to your portfolio, it actually helps you improve your borrowing capacity as well. Or number 10, in the same direction, if you add a commercial property in your portfolio, that can actually help your commercial property or rooming houses, something similar, that can actually help you boost up your serviceability or the borrowing capacity as well. Number 11, and this is quite important, and again, not a lot of people talk about this, is more in relation to paying down your own principal pays. And so if you have money sitting on the side, if you pay that money down and refinance it, actually helps you improve your borrowing capacity, because people like banks like you having less loan on your principal place of residence, and so they can see that you can pay these loans out with that money sitting in the refinance, sitting in the offset is better than just sitting on the cash on the side. Number 12 is the low doc loans, and so a lot of people don't know about this, that if you have an active ABN with a GST registered on it, you have access to low doc loans. And so a lot of astute investors basically go down that route of using low doc loans. Yes, you pay a slightly higher interest rate, but it gets you access to slightly higher borrowing capacity as well, or in some cases significantly higher borrowing capacity. Number 13 is recasting your debt. And so when you talk to mortgage brokers, when you talk to property advisors, especially on the investment property side, or even on, you know, principal place of residence or home loans, you can recast your debt, and the recasting of your debt basically reduces the cash flow required to pay right now, and which in turns help you improve your borrowing capacity in the short term. And finally, the last one, which is my personal favorite, is using trust to your own advantage. And so if you have the right structures in place in the short to medium to long term, it can actually help you improve your borrowing capacity as well. So those are the 14 key hacks that you can use to ultimately improve your borrowing capacity and set yourself up in such a way that, you know, you are setting your portfolio in shock absorption mode, and you can ride through these inflationary waves as well. Okay, thank you for listening to me. Drop into the comments below if you think that there are more things that you should consider when you want to increase your borrowing capacity. Thank you for listening to me today. Take care, keep smiling, stay safe, keep investing. This is Moss checking out. Adios.